recap quite a North Dakota State game that was a thriller, that was exciting, and was overall disappointing all at the same time. Get you rather for Southern Illinois, and we have a special guest with us, Casey Standohar, a Youngstown State alum. She's in the media. She's a sideline reporter, so she's the perfect guest to have with us to break everything down for us. But first, of course, I'm your host, Sal Guardo from Tampa, Florida. With me, as always, is Hall of Fame quarterback Kurt Hess and the Sledge, Kyle Searle, former defensive lineman. And Dan Kopp is out and not with us tonight. I think he heard his USF Bulls are playing, so he probably flew to Tampa for the game. Cannot blame him. Before we get going, of course, we are on Instagram, Whitetown Penguin Podcast. We are on YouTube Live. Get in the chat box. You can get score predictions in, questions, comments, and you can ask Casey a question. We're going to get into all this to get you ready for Southern Illinois. But first, I'm going to turn the mic over to Casey. Casey, overall, tell us about you. You know, you're a Penguin. Tell us, where you're from originally, how you got involved in all this. Just give us your bio from A to Z. Introduce yourself.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate that you had me on tonight. I'm honored to be on. Kurt, I know you were the quarterback when I was on the majorette line. Like we were there at YSU at the same time, which is exciting to kind of be reunited. And it's great. It's great to be reconnected with my hometown. I grew up in Girard, Ohio, and my parents and my brother still live in the area. So it's great to always come back. I'll be home for Christmas as well, but I live in Chicago now and I work as a reporter at NBC Chicago. I do sports reporting and anchoring here in town. And it's great because I feel like Chicago is like a bigger Youngstown. It's like gritty, hardworking people. And I never forget where I came from and my roots. So yeah, I went to YSU, graduated in 2013, and it was really cool to be back I know I was at Illinois State, but to cover the Penguins again.
Where'd you go to high school?
I went to Girard High School.
Okay.
G-Town girl. Yeah.
How'd you get into reporting?
I studied journalism in college, actually. So when I was in high school, I did like writing and editing, and I had a lot of good teachers that really helped me, kind of hone that skill. And then in college, that love kind of continued. I think at first I really wanted to be a teacher, and then my mom was like, "No, don't be a teacher. It's different." She was a teacher. And so I went into journalism instead and just kind of fell in love with writing and reporting. And I think at the time I wanted to be like a writer for the Chicago Tribune. But around the time I graduated, print was kind of dying. And I did an internship actually at WKBN in Youngstown. And that's when I fell in love with like the TV side of things, the fast pace of it all, the kind of the production, the live element of it all. And then I worked for 2.5 years at WFMJ. So I started my career at an NBC station in Youngstown. I was the producer for the morning show, and I would do some other stuff too. And then I went to Columbus for a while and then Chicago. So YSU was a big part of how I started my journalism career.
Well, I could tell you're a professional because you have good eye contact with the camera, as the rest of us are kind of like looking at the screen of each other.
It's hard not to look up and down. I get it.
Yeah, you're a pro. I could tell. A question for my co-host, Girard. Where the hot dog place was we used to love to go to?
Jib Jab.
Oh, it's still there. It's still there, but I think it's different now. It's not the same as it used to be.
And there's no more dollar. It felt like they were dollar dogs. They were really cheap.
We'll have to check in and see what the Cochrans actually say about it. If the Cochrans will know one way or the other. So
Nick will know. He and my dad are still really good buddies, and he's over the house a lot. And I mean, we used to love getting chili cheese dogs and chili cheese fries from the Jib Jab, and I always admired and loved that they had the sign on the outside but had like a fun motivational quote. I don't know if they still do that, but I always enjoyed that.
That was our post spring practice go-to on Saturdays.
That's right.
That Jib Jab.
It's a good spot.
Yeah. Well, anyway, let's get into North Dakota State. Last week, the Penguins unfortunately dropped on the road at number 1, North Dakota State, 38-30. For those of you who did not catch it, it was a roller coaster of emotions. Penguins fell short, 38-30. Just to recap the game so anyone knows, we started off great, getting a 3 and out, getting the ball and going down and kicking a field goal. But the Bison answered with a touchdown, leaving it to 7-3 into the quarter. Then the Penguin offense turns it on with a 9-play, 68-yard touchdown. That makes it 10-7. Penguins on top, and the Penguins get the ball back. So things are looking in their favor until there is an interception inside our own 20. That ends up being a gift for the Bison, as it only takes them 4 plays to go 19 yards to retake the lead 14-10. It gets even trickier from them as the Penguins then turn over on a fumble inside our own 10-yard line, gifting another touchdown to the Bison, making it 21-10. But Penguins finally get their turnover game under control, drive down the field, 6 plays, 46 yards for a touchdown, making it 21-17. And as you start to feel the momentum going into halftime, unfortunately, we kick it off to the Bison, and they take it 100 yards on what was a wrapped up tackle. We'll get into what happened on that play later, but the Bison break the tackle and go 100 yards for an incredible touchdown return to kind of reclaim that lead. Penguins answer with a field goal just before half, but that will end the half 28-20. As I said, this had a lot of emotion. Penguins get the ball to start the half with a field goal, but that is not enough for the Bison to answer on a 12-play, 84, 6+ minute drive, 35-23. But as things are starting to slip away, the Bison do as they usually do, kill the clock. The Penguins come up with a huge interception, and that interception turns into a touchdown to put the Penguins back in somewhat the driver's seat, or at least in the game. We trailed 35-30 at that point. Bison kill the clock as much as possible, convert on, I believe, was a 3rd and 18. That was huge, and that led to a field goal, making it 38-30. As the Penguins get the ball back, we have a chance with about just over a minute to try to drive down the field and tie the game. But on the first play, we fumble, and that will be the ball game. And the Bison will kneel it 38-30. Again, roller coaster emotion. I don't think the country saw it coming that we were able to hang in there and play 4 tough quarters and really put the Bison in the corner. Because before this game, the national media was saying it's North Dakota State versus the field. Who can even step on the same field as these guys? And not only do we step on the field and play with them, we gifted them 3 touchdowns. Before I ramble on anymore, Kurt, what do you think about the game overall on the offense?
Yeah, Sal, you hit it on. I think you exactly. I mean, you kind of painted the picture perfectly. The emotions come into play with a game like this because, in a wider perspective of all of FCS football, 30 points against the number 1 team in the FCS, who is defending national title. Defending national title. They haven't lost a game all year. They're 8-0 right now. We score 30 points. They've allowed 70 points to the 8 other teams that they played this year, and we scored 30. We should be ecstatic, right? But we're not, because we lost the turnover battle. We gave the ball away 3 times. We weren't as good on 3rd down as they were. Bo had a great game, but again, it's kind of perspective. Bo throws for over 200 yards. He rushes 15 times for 50 yards. Generally, the quarterback, that's a great night. But for Bo Brungard, that's probably not his best day. So even with Bo not having his best day, we had a chance to win this ball game. And so the wider FCS perspective of my brain is saying, hey, we played pretty well. We lost by 8 points on the road to Fargo, against North Dakota State. My heart's telling me, and I'm interested to hear what Cyril has to say because he was on the sideline. My heart's telling me we gave this game away and we really had a chance to win. Which is hard to kind of swallow. So definitely, I thought we came out strong. It was important for us to get that field goal early on. We took the lead with the touchdown. The second quarter, I thought, was really important for us offensively because we were able to kind of score with them. They scored 21 points. We scored 17. I felt like at that point when they were up maybe 21-10, 28-10, that game could have slipped away from us, and we fought back in, and we got that field goal at the end of the half to make it an 8-point game. That was huge. And the fact that, you lose the turnover margin, you lose 3rd down, you still have a chance to win the game. kind of tells us what kind of team that we could be, right? We could reach that potential. And it's kind of been a Youngstown State thing in the last 10 to 15 years is we kind of play to the level of our competition, right? For good and for bad. I think the biggest thing that I would take away from this offense is that North Dakota State head coach got in his press conference this week and said, this is the first time this season and possibly last season, he felt like somebody physically matched up with them. And I think he wanted to say physically outplayed them, but I don't think he wanted to say that to his team. So he
Right.
said physically matched up with them. And that means our offensive line played really well. And I also think it's a tribute to the defensive front seven. So I'm going to send it over to Searle for defense. But my head and my heart are definitely torn after this game because we had a chance to win that game, although I'm proud of the fight that we did put up.
Yeah, sure. I think we'll go to Cyril. I mean, you were at the game. You're on the sideline. You traveled to the team, so you were in the emotional hurricane.
I got a lot to say, so if you want to throw it to Casey real quick,
all right,
that's fine.
Casey, because he's going to go for the 40-minute. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, and Casey, this is. I mean, you follow the sport, so if you want to comment beyond the game on the Penguins overall this season, you have the floor.
Well, yeah, I don't like to believe in like moral victories, guys, but I think Kurt hit it on the head. Like YSU showed that they can hang with the top ranked NDSU for large stretches of the game, right? So keeping it a one possession game late in the fourth, the ability to kind of adjust, like you said, to the opponent. But I think it comes down to North Dakota State's ability to capitalize on mistakes. They make big plays, that kickoff return, that really momentum shifter. You know, it was Jackson Williams, I mean, that just buried YSU with that 100-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. So I hate the moral victory mindset, but if you look at YSU, you can say, all right, there's some encouragement there. You can be competitive with a strong opponent. You can highlight the areas to clean up, special teams, turnovers, like if they want to keep winning tight games. But I think the Penguins are definitely still in the playoff conversation, right? I mean, NDSU is number 1 in the FCS, and if you're looking at FBS rankings, they might be top 25 still. So you have to look at kind of what they're capable of doing and being. And I don't know, I just think that was always the case too, Kurt, when we were in school, right? Like NDSU was still a powerhouse. They're always going to be. And so I don't know. Like I said, I think you got to be proud of Bo. You got to be proud of what the team is doing. And I just think the turnovers hurt, special teams issues hurt. I feel like I'm talking about the Bears here because they had a very similar game against the Bengals where it came down to bad defense and special team errors. So, yeah, I just echo your thoughts, Kurt, and I'm just thinking that like they have a real chance this weekend. I know we'll get to that to kind of redeem themselves against a pretty evenly matched opponent. So the fact that they were able to keep up with North Dakota State is a really good sign of what's to come.
Well said. The sledge, what grinds your gears? And again, full disclosure, this guy was practically in the huddle every play at the game as he was on the sideline. So he was with all the emotions.
Yeah, so
Did
let me
Doug
just
Phillips bring you in for the halftime speech? Because that was on Twitter. I saw it.
Definitely
I just
not.
don't
I
know.
was I got a cheesesteak at halftime.
Yo.
Eating my feelings after that kickoff return. So I got a lot to say. I'm going to try and keep my thoughts a little organized here. So let me just start by entering the Fargo Dome. Has not changed a bit. You walk in the bus tunnel and it still smells like cinnamon rolls. It's got like this electric anticipation energy in the whole building. And you know what? Like coming in last week, I said two things. NDSU is going to get a bounce that goes their way because they always do, and they always seem to get just a favorable turnover or circumstance in a game that just always favors them and gives them an edge. And I think that happened a couple times this past weekend. And, you know, to Casey's point, is she's not a fan of the moral victory. I'm not a fan of the moral victory. It drives me up a wall. I said, you know, how can we expect to get into the playoffs and compete for a national championship if we don't step on the field and look good against NDSU? And the fact of the matter is we absolutely handled that game about as well as we could, minus the turnovers and the things that didn't go our way. And So just getting back into the pregame, I told you I was going to try and keep my thoughts organized, but our guys were focused. Everyone was just dialed in from the plane ride to the bus ride to being in the hotel lobby. They just had a quiet focus, and it just took me back. It was very weird to be a part of that and not be on the player side, like getting ready for meetings, getting ready, um, and focused. It was very weird for me to be in that situation. But I could tell the guys were dialed in and focused. Pre-game, they were very focused. Um, and I think the issue that I have is, you know, how can we play so well and simultaneously like play the opposite end of the spectrum and give up it's not like we fumbled in the middle of the field, we or threw a pick in the on the opposite 50, right? Or on the opposite side of the 50. Bo's interception was kind of a fluke thing. I saw it happen in real time. It literally hit the back of the offensive lineman's helmet and had a little pop up for the linebacker or the corner to get an extra read on it, and picked it off in the 9. You know, that's where the defense needs to bow up and hold them to 3. It's a touchdown. And then on the ensuing kickoff, which happened, if you were watching the ESPN game, the ESPN Plus game, I'm probably standing right by the fumble. You know, that happens within the 10-yard line. Boom. In a matter of 30 seconds, you have flipped the game from 10-7 to 21-10 in 30 seconds. That's how fast it went from 10-7 to 21-10. And like Sal said last week, we had to play from the front in this game, and we were constantly playing catch up. And to Kurt's point, Bo had 50 yards rushing. That's not a typical night for Bo, but what I will say is Bo played the game. He ran when he needed to, and he threw the passes very accurately this weekend. And he did what he needed to do to put his team in the best position to win. And I'm not going to necessarily throw that interception on Bo. Defensively, at halftime, YSU had double the yards that NDSU did. The defense started with a 3-and-out. Then offense goes down the field, marches down the field. I'm thinking this is going to be a quick touchdown. We walked away with 3. And then, so defensively, they played well up front. The one thing I'll say is I don't think that quarterback is necessarily the most mobile guy, and he broke a lot of tackles in the second half. And that was frustrating to me because it's like you had him dead to rights, 5, 6, 7 yards behind the ball, and then he's scrambling and he's making something happen, especially on that 3rd and 18, which that right there was the nail in the coffin.
Yeah. If you don't mind me saying, and sure, I know you hold a very high expectation and a high bar, but if I could give a game ball out, it'd be to the defense because you take those 21 points away that we handed to them. And I know you can't really say this because that changes the game, obviously, but they only gave up 17 true points to the number 1 team that has the best offensive line in the country. 3 plays I want to recap with y'all, and I just want y'all's take on it. On who to blame, who not to blame. On that kickoff return, we had the guy wrapped. Do we blame the guy for not taking him down, or do we blame the rest of the team for not swarming after we had the guy wrapped? What do you think?
I mean, it falls on, to me, that falls on everybody. Like, if you have the guy wrapped up, it comes down to fundamentals and running your feet through the guy, bringing your hips through the tackle. And on in terms of the rest of the team, I didn't watch the film, but like, where was the lane discipline? Where's the flow? Like, are you are you just are you just expecting someone else to make the play for you, or you see him wrapped up and you're kind of like, okay, this is taken care of, because it clearly wasn't. So I don't know. I got to see the play, but lane discipline and fundamentals, that's what that comes down to.
Yeah, and so I mean, defensively positioning, it's all about angles on that side of the ball, and not to bring up the Bengals and Bears game again, but because I'm a Bengals fan, and my misery is Jordan Battle gives up a 80-something yard touchdown or 50-yard touchdown at the end of the game after we go up to score because Colson Loveland bounces off his tackle. But there you can also see Geno Stone and somebody else right there, and so I think the expectation sometimes is if you take that one play off where you're not doing your job and you think somebody else is going to do your job, you will get burnt by it, especially by a team with talented players. And that's exactly what happened.
Did the Bengals lose?
Dude, come on, man.
I don't know. The Bucks were on a bye week, so I did not watch any NFL.
We
I just
literally
saw
were-
Joe Flacco had like 40 fantasy points.
We were
And
down
you
by
lost.
multiple scores. We scored a touchdown. We got the onside kick. We scored too quick. And then Caleb Williams throws one to a rookie tight end down the middle of the field. And nobody decides to tackle.
Hey, it's about
This is
time
like
the
the
Bears have some rookie production, right? Like we
Ugh.
draft this guy 10th, and he hasn't
Colson
done anything
Loveland
until
is a
now.
great
It's week 9.
pick.
It's week 9.
The
Jim
Bengals have the worst
Crickets.
defense since like 1976 right now. It's terrible.
Hey guys, real quick, do you care if I join on my phone just in case I lose? My computer's acting a little funny. I just don't.
I did the exact same thing last week. It's all good.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
I'm gonna do
he's
that
fine.
too, and then I'll. All right.
All right.
No, but I will throw another note in there, Sal. Like,
Yeah.
you give the game ball to the defense. Like, you can give it to the offense too, because I don't even have to look this up, but we outgained them rushing. We outgained them passing. This has got to be the first time North Dakota State's been outgained by any team this year. And we didn't just do it by a fluke on a couple plays. Like, we did it on both sides of the offensive, like rushing and passing. Like, that's pretty impressive too. And like Searle was saying, Bo just went out there and did his job. He took what the defense gave him, and it was good enough to win that game.
2 more plays I just want to point out if y'all have any comments. First, y'all said the Bo interception was a fluke. Another fluke was their interception that Cole threw. That was a you want to talk about a roller coaster of emotions. That was a roller coaster of emotions. It was a big 3rd down play. It went to almost sacking the quarterback, to almost sacking their quarterback again, to a hold call, to hitting their receiver in the hands, bouncing off them, and then we intercept it. So it just went from a and then suddenly we pick it off. And then another huge play was Searle, you hit it as we're trying desperately to get the ball back. They had a 3rd and 18. They were in a hole on their own 30. And as the quarterback's rolling out, they throw a 26-yard pass on a 3rd and 18 to keep the drive going when we really needed that football. Any comments on either of those plays?
Yeah, let me comment on the 3rd and 18 because they were in a 3rd and 18 because the defense was playing aggressive. They were playing like with a purpose, and obviously it was 2 back-to-back TFLs that put NDSU in that 3rd and 18 position. And once again, like the defense brought the same energy on that 3rd and 18. They could not get the quarterback down, and he just threw it up and took the wind out of our sails. But like, I mean, I don't know what the answer is there, right? Like, he just spun out of a tackle. I mean, it was 1-on-1 with the quarterback, and you would like to think that 3rd and 18, they're punting. Maybe we come after it. We're in a little bit better of a field positioning, and we got more time. And I mean, honestly, we might walk away talking about a different, with all the upsets that happened in the Missouri Valley last week. We're probably on that same side as a couple other teams.
No doubt. Casey, Kurt, you have any comments on that? Casey, were you able to watch this game live, or were you reporting elsewhere?
I was actually at the Central Michigan Kalamazoo, Western Michigan game in Kalamazoo. So my fiance is the OC at Central. So I was there. So I was not able to watch this game. So I was watching some MAC football. But every Saturday's football somewhere for me.
Or
Kurt
Tuesday.
married into the MAC, so he's a big MAC guy. I think he was
Yeah.
at a MAC game himself. Kurt, were you?
I was at a MAC tournament game myself at Old Columbus Crew Stadium where the Kent State Golden Flashes lost in 6 or 7 PKs to the Ball State Cardinals.
Women's
Wow.
soccer.
I had a good time. I did enjoy watching it. I wish there was more scoring just being on the offensive side of the ball, although both of my girls were exhausted because they just ran up and down the bleachers the whole game. So,
Aw.
there's a win right there, right?
Yeah,
Amen.
that's awesome.
Anyway, all right. You guys want to leave North Dakota State behind us? Y'all have any more comments?
I think it's time. I think it's time to move forward.
For us, for sure. I hope the team did so days ago. That's for sure. But
Yeah.
wait, I got one more question for you guys. Just y'all might think I'm nuts. Come
Already
the
do.
playoffs. North Dakota State, South Dakota State. Who would you rather play? Because I'd rather go back to Fargo. Who would y'all rather play of those 4 teams?
Not North Dakota,
No.
South Dakota State.
probably South Dakota State.
You guys don't want Michigan State again?
I'm not scared of them. Didn't they bench their quarterback?
We were one possession away this weekend, one possession away if we'd have won that game where we beat North Dakota State and Indiana State beat South Dakota State. When was the last time NDSU and South Dakota State lost on the same day?
Wow.
That's a good cue. We'll have to look that one up. It's probably been decades. But all right, let's look back at the week that was. Hats off to my boy Kyle Stroll. He won the pickups, as the difference was he picked Harvard as Kurt and I picked Dartmouth. Harvard did win and cover the spread there. Just recapping the Missouri Valley, which was wild last weekend. Starting with the first game, North Dakota, heavy favorite at South Dakota. South Dakota wins the money line, 26-21 in the first upset. Northern Iowa at Illinois State. Illinois State wins and covers 31-16. Indiana State at South Dakota State. And this is the game Kurt was talking about. South Dakota State, huge favorites. Not sure what happened, but Indiana State wins 24-12. And I was watching the end of it. It could have been worse if Indiana State didn't call the dogs off. The Penguins of Youngstown State at Fargo, North Dakota State, as we talked to in length, we were a 4-touchdown dog, so we definitely covered that, but we lost 38-30. Southern Illinois Salukis were at Murray State. How about this one? Salukis won 27-20. The spread was 21.5, so only winning by 20 gives Murray State the win on that. And then, as I mentioned, Harvard wins 31-10 over Dartmouth. That really probably secures a spot in the playoffs for Harvard unless things go terribly wrong. Any comments on any of those that the week that was last week for the entire conference?
Yeah, I think South Dakota State, the last 2 weeks, I think their quarterback's hurt. I haven't dug and
He is.
confirmed. Yeah,
He is.
so I mean, we talk about Gronowski leaving and who's going to replace him, and apparently, I don't know. It's just quarterback's an important position. So if you got one guy getting all the reps in camp, you got one guy that's getting all the opportunities, and then it's, oh shit, new guy up. He's got a week to practice. It's just doesn't gel right off the rip.
Anybody else? All right.
I'm kind of surprised that Illinois State lost to Northern Illinois. Is that what you said?
Who is it?
No,
again?
Ill State beat UNI.
Oh, I thought it was
Yeah.
Northern. Sorry, my bad,
Yeah,
my bad.
but it was a
Okay.
lot closer than you would
Mhm.
think.
Yeah,
What was the spread? Spread was only a touchdown, but yeah.
yeah. I have them in a few weeks. I think in a few weeks against. I have Southern Illinois State down at
The last game of the
in
season.
Bloomington. Yeah, so that'll be my second game down at Illinois State, and I don't know. I think Coach Spack has a good group, and he was extremely complimentary of Bo and this Youngstown State team. So I think they knew what they were up against, and we had a game where we were expecting pretty crappy weather, and we ended up moving up the game. So who knows what that could have changed things, but yeah, I don't know. I think Illinois State kind of keeps it interesting, but YSU, that game that I covered a few weeks ago, I mean, they were just clearly the better team all around. So,
And we'll get into that at the tail end of the show. But if the Penguins take care of business against Southern Illinois, that game you're talking about, Casey, Southern Illinois, Illinois State, is probably going to be a play-in game for a playoff spot.
yeah.
We'll dive into the playoff predictions, but that will loom huge, assuming the Penguins can do what they're supposed to. But Casey, we want to get into kind of the media life and ask you a few questions before we turn the page to next week in Southern Illinois. I had a couple questions for you, and if you're in the chat, you can get questions in as well. Question I had, I always wondered in the life of whether it's sideline reporter or media, how what is the lifestyle like as far as how do you know what you're doing that weekend? When do they give you the schedule? Is it kind of like, hey, by the way, you're flying to we're sending you to Southern Illinois and Carbondale tomorrow. Hop on the flight first thing in the morning. How do you know what you're doing and how much time do you have to actually prepare for the games you're covering?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, with NBC Chicago here in town, like I'm covering all the pro teams. So I'm covering the Bears, the Bulls, the Cubs, the White Sox, the Fire, the Red Stars, the Sky, who am I missing? The Blackhawks. So it's a lot. It's a lot of teams to cover, and it's a lot of prep kind of pretty quickly, especially when a lot of these seasons overlap. So we do get our schedule ahead of time, but things come up, right? Like it might be like, oh, hey, for example, today. I was at Hallis Hall covering the Bears, but then my coworker handled the Northwestern news that, Pat Fitzgerald came out and said like he feels vindicated by what happened and everything going down Northwestern and kind of it being on his side in the end of it all. So we kind of adjust to whatever the day's news is. It could be something breaking. It could be something that we prepared for. So that keeps it interesting, keeps it fresh. And then when it comes to a college football schedule, I usually do get that in advance. Like I knew I was going to cover YSU down at Illinois State, and I knew I was going to cover Southern Illinois, Illinois State probably 2 months ago when the schedule came out. Like I knew those would be my games. But a lot of times like things change. They might be like, hey, can you cover this game? Our sideline reporter is sick. And then you kind of have to cram and, do it on a dime. Or you might cover, like, for example, I have a volleyball game tomorrow at DePaul. And then you turn around the next day and cover a football game. So you have to be on your game. You have to know what you're talking about. You have to be doing coach calls well in advance, conversations with SIDs and just making sure you keep all your notes kind of organized. So it's a mixture of like planned chaos, I would say.
Yeah, that's a lot of leagues, a lot of sports.
Yeah.
Hats off to you. And then
Thanks.
one more question for me is, uh, I won't name names, but inside this our co-host, we have a thread, and we talk. Bring it back to the Penguins here. We talk about conference. Are we in the best conference? One of my co-hosts thinks we should move up to FBS. The other co-host thinks we need to get out, kind of like Western Illinois did. We need to move to a lower conference of FCS that's a lot easier for us to win and get into the postseason.
Mhm.
And then another one of our co-hosts says, "Hey, we're at the right level of football. We're in the best conference. This is where the competition's at. We should stay where it is." Uh, None of those three opinions are even mine. I don't even know what to think because they all have great points, and I don't think any of them are wrong. What do you think the Penguins, if you were in charge and you can move this team any conference you want, do you stay put?
Well, I definitely think you stay put. I think to that last person's point, you have to rise to the level of your opponent. You guys talked about that earlier. Like, why would you want to stoop down just to be the best? Does it really feel like you're the best if you're playing a lot of, lower level teams? I mean, if you can start to compete with and beat the Bison, then I think then and you're in the right spot. I mean, YSU's been in the conversation for years, right? And so I think the Missouri Valley is the right conference for Youngstown State. I think it always has been. I think if you do move, I'm biased, you're going to the MAC, right? I feel like that'd be a great spot for Youngstown. You say no? Why?
Well,
No, it's just
I,
so. I was
at the
bowling on
Keep
beginning,
Tuesday,
going.
and there
It's
was
at
okay.
the
an empty.
Hey, hold on. Hey, I didn't interrupt when she was talking about the valley.
She
No,
asked
I
me
am
a question. She
I am
specifically
curious
asked me a
though.
question.
So to answer your question, I do think you're in the right conference, but if you did move to FBS, I think the MAC is a good spot for the Penguins.
naturally, right, Right. Yeah, you could tell that what you already know what Cyril's answer was and Kurt's answer, and you could
Yeah.
probably put it together based on the reactions.
And Dan clearly now, for the record, wants us to drop down to D2 or what? Like,
No,
is
he
that what you
wants us
just
to
threw him
join
under the
like the
bus to
Duquesne
say?
the Ohio
Conference and-
Athletic or Northeast or
No.
yeah.
Jiminy Christmas.
Cyril, go ahead.
All right, so I got Dan's question for you, and it's a good question here. Describe the process of interviewing a coach or a player, pre-game, post-game, mid-game, like coming out of halftime, and sometimes there's some heated emotions in there.
Mhm.
It could be good, it could be bad, it could be awkward. Like, talk to us
Mhm.
about that process, and maybe throw us a little awkward scenario you once had, because those are always fun.
Oh yeah. Well, I covered a lot of high school football. I still do, but in my past, I've covered a lot of high school football here in Illinois, and I really enjoyed it. I covered the state championships every single year for the past like 4 years. And I think it's just really important to build a relationship with the coach beforehand on Zoom calls like this, on podcasts, conference calls, whatever it might be. Like I was covering that game 2 weeks ago for Illinois State. It was an Illinois State broadcast, but I still made a point to call Coach Phillips and talk with him and get to know him because at the end of the day, you want it to be an unbiased broadcast. You want it to be fair and balanced with your reporting. And so I make an effort to build a relationship first and do a lot of prep, talk to the coaches, make sure they know my face, my name, my voice, and they feel comfortable with me because the better that is beforehand in pregame, the better it's going to go during the game. Because like you said, guys, there's heated emotions. There's a lot going on. Pregame, they've got the crowd. They've got, people pulling them in different directions and you might only have them for two questions, coach, and you want to make sure you're getting that information across clearly, concisely, and quickly because it's so fast and sometimes there's technical difficulties and you kind of have to adjust and make sure the coach feels comfortable with you. And I try to get the best answer out of them that isn't coach speak. You guys know what coach speak sounds like. It's like the generic answers that don't really tell us anything. And so I try to ask more specific questions that get them to think about something or say something beyond their media trained answer. And then at halftime, it's crazy because like I had Coach Spack at halftime a few weeks ago. I asked him 2 questions. He was more long winded, and then that was it. And then I come back in with Coach Phillips, and he was able to talk with me too. But when you get the trailing coach at halftime, or you get the coach, that's like a little bit more rushed to get back to the sidelines, they're going to be a little bit distracted, and you've seen that probably in NFL games where the coach gives them kind of a crass answer and then moves on. And that happens sometimes. Sometimes they don't even want to be on camera. Sometimes they're just like, hey, can we walk and talk? And you're like, sure, no problem, coach. So you just walk and talk with them, get a few thoughts, find out what they said at halftime to their guys in the locker room, and then you come on camera after that and explain what they said. You're kind of recapping it, even though you just talked to him off camera for a few minutes. So it's crazy. And I think the most awkward story I have is I was interviewing a high school coach and he just had the most amount of like chew in his lower lip. Like it was just spitting out. It was all over his teeth. It was like coming out and you could see it on camera and I could like smell it. And he was trailing in the state championship game. Maybe it was semifinal game, but just not pleasant to talk to. And then on top of it, I'm having this like really gross mouth experience with this guy. So I won't say any names, but yeah, I mean, you just never know what's going to happen, right? Sometimes coaches want to blow you off and you have to kind of flag them down with your microphone. You're like, coach, I'm over here, right here, right here. So it's good to tell them ahead of time that you need 2 minutes of their time.
Great answer. And I don't want to mic hog, but when I read that question from Dan, I heard it from Cyril. I happened to watch another college football team in Blacksburg, and Virginia Tech was down to Old Dominion like 28-0 at halftime, and you could hear the crowd yelling, "Fire, Pry, fire!" And as they're screaming it, the ESPN reporters over there like trying to be as professional as possible. Like, how can you bounce back into this game? And he's just like
Brutal.
the emotions. Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
God bless that reporter that has to go over there Because he's
Right.
like fired. He got fired the next
Yeah.
morning. And it's like, what do you ask that guy? You
Right.
know?
And I've never had a situation like I've never had like a Nick Saban situation where I've been corrected on camera, thank God, or like told like I think it was with Maria Taylor. He said, "So quit asking me." Like so I've never had like somebody yell at me, which is
Yeah.
really good. Fingers crossed, knock on wood. But that would be tough for
No
sure.
doubt. Gertie.
Casey, you said you did WKBN and WFMJ. Are we talking Chad Krasinski and Dana Balish here?
Oh
Like, are
yeah.
those two people that you
Yeah.
worked with? Yeah.
Absolutely. And
If I
I
were
think I
asking
saw
you like a speed round, would you be willing and comfortable to choose one of those guys as your favorite?
Oh, that's tough. I saw Chad just got honored, I think, for an award. I saw on LinkedIn he just got an award, which is very cool.
Nice.
I'm gonna have to go Dana because he taught me a lot about sports, and I worked specifically at WFMJ for several years. I just interned at KBN, so I'm going FMJ. I'm going that sports team. I didn't actually work on the sports team there, so it's cool to kind of look back. I was more news focused at the time, but yeah, I'm a little biased towards my NBC
Yeah.
family.
Well, sure. Since he helped teach you sports, that's a good segue into my
Totally.
question, which is you're kind of a sports fanatic, and are there any memories or early life events that kind of built you into sports or grew up into sports outside of maybe being in Youngstown? But why are you a sports fanatic?
I grew up with a dad and brother who loved sports, played sports, and it was really important to me that that was like how we bonded. I grew up with them, and even my mom enjoyed sports too. And so we grew up watching Cleveland baseball. We were big Indians fans growing up, Browns fans, unfortunately, Cavs fans. 2016 was like the best when they won. In 2016 was like the best day of our lives. So just growing up around family that also enjoyed sports was really fun. Like my dad and I would watch Tribe baseball together, and we would watch golf together. Like every year we'd have like a breakfast when we were kids for the British Open. They just call it the Open now, but it was important to us to like kind of host this fun little like open breakfast. And so sports has always been a big part of my life. And after I kind of got out of the news business, I knew that sports was still a good way for me to be in journalism and media and it not be as depressing as the news can be.
For sure. No doubt. And you've decided, I guess, moving forward to your future is now in sports, and also your fiance, which you got engaged in September. Congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
Is an offensive coordinator at a Division I football school. So it's just all sports all the time.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about how maybe you plan a wedding
Right.
in between sports?
Oh God, don't even get me started. It's really hard. It's really hard. I'm planning a wedding right now and I'm pulling out all my hair because it's not easy during a season. Like I'm covering the Bears. I've got to go to the Bears Giants game on Sunday at Soldier Field. My fiance is in the middle of his season trying to get to a bowl game. So they're having a decent year and there is no time to plan the wedding. Right. And so I always wanted a fall wedding. And we're never gonna have a fall wedding. That dream has died, right?
Don't ever do that, please.
Yeah, we're not.
No
like,
football season weddings.
right?
That's not
You
something
actually
this
were invited,
podcast can
Sal.
allow.
Nobody likes
You
to
won't.
go.
Yeah, you won't be
Nobody
allowed
likes
back.
to go to a wedding and then check their phone and the score. So yeah, it's not fun for
Yeah,
anyone.
you bring it
So
upon yourself.
right, we're getting married next June, so before football season even starts, before fall camp even starts for my fiance. But yeah, football is going to always be a part of my life, and I'm really excited about that. I used to be a baseball only girl, and I think with being my future husband, being a coach and a football coach, and just kind of covering the Bears more, I've learned to love college and pro football as well. So, and it's crazy too because I'm marrying a Jim, and my dad and brother are also named Jim, and they grew up loving sports too. So it's this weird, like, everybody's a coach, everybody's a former athlete, and everybody's named Jim.
Love that.
Well, we have to ask before we segue to Southern Hill because I know you will. Best pizza in Youngstown.
Oh man, this is tough. I'm saying the Gardens, but didn't it close?
I don't know the Gardens go boys. Sorry to
Where's the
admit.
Gardens?
That's a
My
new
dad might
answer.
be in the chat, but I feel like there was a place in Girard that we would go to, and I think they closed, and it was devastating
Ooh.
because they had really good pizza.
And it was called the Gardens.
Yeah.
Well, Casey's dad hit the chat. Tell us
Yeah,
where
maybe
it's
he
at.
will.
Well, she's in Chicago now, so I could imagine Youngstown pizza is
We don't like
second
Chicago
fiddle.
style.
Well, listen.
No,
I still love like Youngstown Italian food. Like I still love the MVR and Salvatore's and all the places that are home because I love
Wedgwood.
Chicago. Yes, and
Wedgwood.
I love Chicago pizza, and I live near Luminati's Pizza, which is a big deep dish place in town. But for me, like I still miss like the good old fashioned Italian food in Youngstown.
Well, from the YouTube chat, my guy Richard Wolf asked I love his question actually, very generic. So you go any way you want with it. How was your time at Youngstown State? Any stories or good memories? If you did it all over again, would you go there? I mean, what do you
Oh
think
my
about being a
gosh.
Penguin?
Yeah, I loved my experience at Youngstown State. I lived with my best friend Mallory. We lived right on Fifth Avenue. We had a great time. I was a majorette, Penguinette. She was a cheerleader. We had such a fun time in college, and I don't think I would change anything. I don't. I mean, a part of me like had some feelings of not regret, I should say, but just questioning that decision because I felt like I really wanted to work for like the Big Ten network and some of the networks here in Chicago. And it's easier when you went to a Big Ten school. But I don't regret my decision. I got a great education at Youngstown State. I wasn't just a number in a classroom. I got special, help. I worked for the Jam Bar, which is the student newspaper at Youngstown State. I think it's still there. Shout out to everyone at the Jam Bar. And that helped me become a better writer, a better reporter. And I just being a majorette, a penguinette with the football team, like was so fun because I got to be involved every Saturday. We beat Pitt when we were in school, right, Kurt? I mean, which was
Yeah.
awesome, and that was like an exciting time. What was that, like 2012? And
2012. Yep.
yeah, playing Michigan State. I don't know. It was just a great experience. I have no regrets. I think just college is a tough decision to make when you're 18 years old. Like that
Yeah.
that choice for a kid is crazy. But love my time there and love that I could still go home for Sunday dinner if I wanted to as well.
And the problem with going to one of those Big Ten schools is, as you mentioned, you weren't just a number at Youngstown State. You are just a number of these Big Ten schools.
Yeah.
I myself, a student coach at Youngstown State, was able to be very hands-on and a part of the game day operations. I remember
Right.
having an opportunity to transfer to Florida State and be a student coach under Jimbo Fisher's staff. And when I looked around, he had like 30 student coaches. And I was like, all right, what the heck am I going to do at Florida
Yeah.
State? Like, you know what I mean? Pick up the footballs. So I was like,
Right.
no, I'm staying at YSU where I'm wearing a headset and I'm a part of the game day.
Yeah, I think a part of me was like, I'll go to YSU or, Capital for like a year and then transfer to Ohio State. And I never did that because I didn't want to at that point. I loved the education I was getting and I loved being close to home and I love what I was able to do at Youngstown.
No doubt. Any more questions in the chat or for Casey before we move on to the Saluki game?
Yeah, Gentleman Swag's got one for Casey. Do the Bulls still have a huge cult following, even though it's been decades since the MJ era, or is it just like some kind of fair weather fans in the Bulls arena at the
Wow.
moment?
All right, you guys, the Bulls went like 5-0 to start the season. Then they went 5-1 to start the season. So to answer your question is, yes, they still have a cult following. Everybody loves the Bulls here. Everybody wants the Bulls to be good. They had their best start since like 95, 96 when they won the championship. So people are loving the Bulls. We've got a lot of young talent like Josh Giddey, who's the Australian player. Modest Buzelis is young. There's a lot of good talent on this Bulls team. Nikola Vucevic is still, hitting threes and buzzer beaters. So people love the Bulls. And when I went to Paris this summer, I had this debate with my now fiance. Is like, what are some of those global teams, those global brands with cult followings? And the Bulls is one of them. And you saw Bulls jerseys in Paris, and you saw, you know, people who were Chicago Bulls fans and Michael Jordan fans, I guess. Hey, he's back on the NBA on NBC too, which is very exciting for my network. But yeah, I would say yes, they still have a cult following, and people are excited about where they're going this season.
That's awesome. Someone asked me last NBA game I went to, and I told him it was actually Michael Jordan was in Orlando, and we had a young man named Shaquille O'Neal out of LSU playing center for the Magic. So it's been a while.
Yeah.
I'm not an NBA guy.
I
Anything else
prefer
for
college
Casey?
basketball too, but I live really close to the United Center where the Bulls play, and so I
You
got to be
got to.
involved. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Y'all ready to turn the page?
Yeah.
Let's
Let's do
do it.
it.
All right, guys, I don't want to be extreme, but I think it is a win or go home situation for the Penguins as we are 5-4, hardly over 500, and we are the only four-loss team ranked. The number 16 Southern Illinois Salukis are at number 22 Youngstown State this Saturday, 2 p.m. on ESPN Plus for those of you who are not local. That is going to be live at the Ice Castle. And I think we are going to have a co-host unite as we're all going to be there. And the Sledge, are you calling the game?
I am calling the game.
So Casey,
Let's
you'll have to
go,
get
dude.
some. This isn't his first rodeo, but you should give him some pointers on how to improve his game. Before we dive into that, just some quick fun facts. As you all know, I love to do the fun facts about our opponents. The Salukis have been playing football since 1913. That's 112 years. The Saluki is the native hunting dog of the Carbondale area. That's where they get their nickname. Head coach Nick Hill. Nick Hill actually played quarterback there while we were in high school from 04 to 07 under the legendary Jerry Kill. He then played some pro ball, some arena ball. Then he joined the Salukis in 14 and 15 as their offensive coordinator. Then he became the head coach in 16. Overall, it's been a little bit of a rough ride. He's 48-56 overall, but he's got 3 playoff appearances in that. So that is more than I think any of our coaches could say outside of Jim Tressel. They have about 11,000 kids enrolled, same size as us. Uh, I found this kind of funny as some famous alums. Um, Jenny McCarthy, former Playmate of the Year. You guys may know her as a judge currently on The Masked Singer. I know her best as she was Charlie Sheen's wife in 2.5 Men. For those of you who watched that series, that's how I knew her. And what's funny about this whole thing is that her cousin is a Saluki. I hope I don't get canceled for this, but she does not have the same genes as Jenny McCarthy. Melissa McCarthy is her cousin. Melissa McCarthy, you guys probably know her as the larger lady in Bridesmaids or Alan's wife in The Hangover 3. She is extremely funny, definitely the more famous of the two, but both the McCarthy cousins are Salukis. Uh, a couple more, just Bob Odenkirk, I believe you say his name from Breaking Bad. I don't know Breaking Bad, but I knew
Odenkirk.
Botenkirk.
Yeah, he has that
Oh,
Better Call Saul show too.
Yeah,
Odenkirk.
Oh, he's
Odenkirk.
hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
SNL too.
I saw his face and I couldn't figure out how I knew him. You know how I knew him was from How I Met Your Mother. He was Marshall's
Yeah.
boss who fired
Yes.
him like
Where he
multiple
sleeps
times.
he sleeps on the floor or whatever in the office.
Yes, he was hilarious in How I Met Your Mother. And then lastly, Justin Hartley from Tracker or This Is Us, couple TV shows. He's also a Saluki.
I didn't know that. That's cool.
There were actually a lot more, but that was kind of the recent. A lot of them were from like I Was Famous in the 70s type deal that I kind of just left out. They have 5 active NFL players. I'll spare y'all listing their names off, but there's some former Southern Ill Saluki coaches that are now head coaches. Our boy, Phil Longo, now head coach of Sam Houston State, was their OC my freshman and sophomore year. And as we've talked about in this podcast, he was replaced by Kalen DeBoer, became the offensive coordinator our junior and senior year. He's now the head coach of Alabama, replaced Nick Saban. Jerry Kill, we mentioned earlier, was the head coach. He is not the head coach of Vanderbilt, but let's be real, he's really running the show behind Vanderbilt's recent success. And then Charlie Strong at one point was the receiver coach for the Salukis. He went on to be the head coach of Louisville, Texas, and USF. So he had a very strong career. Overall, back to football, the Salukis, they've only lost 3 games overall to FCS. After they played Purdue tight, they ended up losing. They rattle off a couple wins against Southeast Missouri State, UT Martin, Indiana State. They lost to North Dakota State 45-17, and then to North Dakota 38-19. They bounced back, beat Northern Iowa and Murray State. So they haven't really played the middle tier of, the bubble teams, if you will. So they have a tough sledding to end the year. They're at Youngstown State, then they play South Dakota. Then, as Casey alluded to, they are at Illinois State to end the year. FY, for those of you not paying attention, Southern Illinois, Youngstown State, South Dakota, and Illinois State, which is their last 3 games, all 4 of those teams are bubble teams that have to win to make the playoffs. So they got a dramatic game the rest of the season. Guys, I don't know if you guys want, I have this reround the clock moment on some of these games that we've gone back to. You don't do it, Curdy?
I feel like we've already shared our Southern Ill ones before, and I'm good to just roll with the scouting report unless you got something, Cyril.
Nah, man.
Roll?
Yeah, let's just
roll,
roll.
Curdy. What do you think
Yeah.
about this number 22 Southern Illinois team?
Yeah, so Sal, our back's against the wall. I mean, it's win or go home here. Southern Illinois is about as evenly matched as we are with kind of Illinois State, right? This is just that next level tier that we have here in below the Dakota teams, where it's like we're trying to fight for that 4th or 5th playoff spot. So SIU averages 34.5 points per game. Very balanced attack. They throw for over 220 a game. They rush for 207 a game. DJ Williams is their quarterback. I hope I get some credit from Casey on this one. I think DJ Williams is their Carbondale copy of Bo Brungard, since they're in Carbondale, Illinois. How about that one for
You took
media?
the words right out of my mouth. I think
Let's
these 2 teams.
go.
I was just gonna say that, Kurt. Honestly, like these are 2 teams with 2 great quarterbacks, and they're evenly matched. Now, Youngstown's coming off a loss. SIU won the last 2. They've got a little more momentum, but I don't think that's going to affect Bo and that offense for the Penguins. DJ Williams and Bo are very similar because they could hurt you with their arm or with their legs, right? So, oh man, I think it's going to come down to like who can. I think Bo's going to come out and do what he does, but I think it's going to come down to the defense for sure. I don't know. I think it's a good advantage for Youngstown being at home, so I like that. I feel like they play well in front of their fans. You got to win and keep winning if you're Southern Illinois. But yeah, this is a great chance to make a playoff push here. You kind of exactly the words you were thinking. I'm with you on that.
Yeah, and I Southern Ill has playmakers. I
Yeah.
think they have 6 guys who have plays for over 60 yards this season, which is pretty impressive. So you've got playmakers on that side of the ball. I think they're going to score points, Southern Ill. The other thing I noticed about Southern Ill, they've put the ball on the ground 14 times this year. They've fumbled 14 times and lost 8 of them. So if we can win the turnover battle, I think that we're going to win this game. Sal, my prediction for this is 42-28 YSU win.
Sledge or Casey?
Casey, you got anything?
I'm gonna go lower scoring. I'm gonna go Youngstown 27 wins it 27-20.
Wow. Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
You said YSU,
So-
right?
Yeah.
Whew, okay.
Let me know when you're ready, Sal.
Go ahead.
You ready?
Yeah.
So Kurt touched on a lot of things that I was going to touch on. The 14 fumbles, 8 lost. That's a huge stat. Like that's opportunity for our defense. That's going to be, like I said, we're going to need that bounce that NDSU got last week, and we're going to need that bounce this weekend. And Sal, I don't think that it's, not fair to say that this is, win or go home moment here. Like for the Penguins fans and the team and us watching, you want these Penguins to be into the playoffs so bad. Well, guess what? It's here. This is playoffs. You got to win out to control your destiny, because let's just face it, like historically, the playoff committee we talk about all the time has not favored YSU. And for whatever reason, Southern Illinois is ranked higher than Illinois State, Youngstown State, and all the projected brackets do not have Southern Ill in, at least currently. So for the guys in the locker room, welcome to the show because you're in the playoffs right now and you're playing a playoff caliber team. You played a national championship caliber team extremely well last weekend, but it counts for nothing. It counts as a loss. And so what I have to say to that is no moral victory, as Casey pointed last weekend. Don't come home with your tail between your legs because you got to get focused, blow it off. You can't have an emotional hangover from last weekend on the almost, the coulda, woulda, shoulda, because you have SIU in front of you right now. And ultimately, like, I'm not going to give a prediction because I'm calling the game, but it's going to be a fun game. Like, it's going to come down to the lucky bounce and who plays all 4 quarters. And all I'm going to say is our guys have done that every single game this year. Has played 4 quarters front to back. They could play better in the third quarter. I don't love our third quarters, but that's just me.
Yeah, it seems to feels like a little bit of fatigue sets in the third, right? And they just
Yeah, it's
can't
just kind of weird. Like, it
yeah.
just
Mm-hmm.
weird energy in the third quarter. And if I was like kind of geared towards like, if I was a Southern Illinois fan, I probably would have the same feeling about them, but
Mm-hmm.
like I'm more focused on us. So it's like, I don't know. It's just weird.
Yeah.
Well, one thing that is definitely a mismatch. First off, offensively, we're number 19 in the country. They're number 20. So offensively, that's a pretty even, match. I'll tell you where in the mismatches though. Bro Brungar's the number 4 rusher in the country. We're at number 18 in the country as a team, and their rush defense is number 99. One of the worst in the conference and one of the worst in the country. Um, you guys remember 2 years ago when we had hey, we got to win this to make the playoffs in 2023. You two were at the game. I was actually just leaving a Florida State game, driving back to Tampa from Tallahassee. I was watching on my phone. I remember like putting the game on, and we were kicking ass. We're up like huge, and we just destroyed them. And they were like a top 10 team. You remember that game?
Yeah, I think they were ranked 5 and we ended up winning 31-3.
Wow.
Huge. And I think we're going to get a 2.0 of that. I think we're going to run all over them, and they're not even going to be able to stop us. I think we're going to win huge and make a statement.
Well,
Guys, go
let's
ahead.
pump the brakes, Sal, because last year, okay, let's respect them a little bit because
He's calling the game.
no, I mean legitimately last year SIU had a 28-point comeback in the second half to beat the Penguins. And it was
There's
like
nothing like
33
the Ice
to
Castle, baby.
I'm just saying, you can't, this conference is wacky.
It is wacky, but I'll tell you this. We're 9 games into the season, and if we're going to make a run to the national championship game, that's 9 games from now. So this will be the halfway point, and we have to win
Mm-hmm.
every game from here on out. And it's going to start with this one. This might be, looking at the rest of our schedule, this might be our biggest win margin wise. I think we're going to control the game from a clock and line of scrimmage perspective. 38-10 is my take. And I think Mets in the chat, you were really right there with me. I saw you got 38-17 saying, or maybe that was Aaron Metz that said that. Very similar to me, but I said 38-10 in the YouTube chat. So any other predictions to read out?
Yeah, so that score was Aaron Metz's 38-17 is Aaron.
Let's go.
Metz has YSU 35-28. Wolf has YSU 42-35. And because we switched from Wednesday to Thursday, I think our local guys are not tuned in. So that's the only 3 I have.
I got Kristen Seidler from Facebook message 40-28.
Wow. Maybe I'm
Penguins?
wrong. Maybe it's not going to be 27-20.
Well, it's going to be a lot of running. You could be right.
Yeah,
You
I don't
could
know.
be
I don't
right.
know. I just feel like YSU has to play disciplined. They can't get stuck in a bunch of third and long situations. You know, just cleaning up some of the things from last week. And I think they have a really good shot. And it's going to build a ton of momentum and confidence if they can win this one.
Yeah, I
You
don't
never
think
know
you
what
hold
weather you're
Bo.
going to get in the Ice Castle either. It could be windy, could be a little
Yeah,
rain, could be
man.
tough to throw or run the ball. Like,
It's
hard
We
to
got
supposed to
coordinate
snow. We
snow.
got
like
snow
that.
coming in Chicago. I don't know about you guys, but
We got
Sunday's Bears
snow on
game's gonna be
Monday,
snow.
but it could come a couple days early.
Yeah,
Well,
but
as
that's when
long
the
as
Penguins play at their best. I feel like.
as long as
Not on our
hey,
senior night, but other than that, yes.
as long as the heater is working in the press box, that's all that
Mhm.
matters weather-wise for me. Um, any more on Southern Hill? Casey, a couple things. First, we want you to give a last word to Penguin Nation, and then on top of that, you got to tell us and the listeners and the fans how they could follow you and keep up with some of those media news that you are putting out there.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, thank you guys so much for the opportunity. I had so much fun being on the show tonight. It brought back a lot of memories for me, which is really cool. I still have my YSU Penguinette outfit from from college. I still have like the jacket, my baton. So it's really important to me and special. I hope to pass it down to my kids someday and just kind of tell them about it. But yeah, I mean, YSU was such a big part of my life, and I even took my now fiance back to like walk around the bookstore and the basketball arena and just kind of like see where I went to school, and he loved it. So, but yeah. Anyway, I looking forward to being back home for the holidays. If you care to follow me in Chicago sports, I'm at NBC Chicago. My Instagram is at Casey Stando. I'm at Twitter, just my full name, or X, I should say, Casey Standahar. But yeah, I'm everywhere, and so I'm excited to keep doing more with ESPN Plus and doing that Illinois State game in a few weeks. But hope to do more Youngstown games in the future. Trevor Parks, shout out Trevor, and Jamie Hall. They gave me a Youngstown State like winter beanie hat and a YSU shirt, so I got to rock that soon too. I
Yes,
should have worn it
Nice.
tonight, but I came.
Ours must be in the mail. Then.
Yeah, yeah. You guys didn't get yours yet. I
Trev,
should have worn it
Jamie.
tonight, but I came straight from work.
Yeah, the bookstore is much nicer, and the campus overall is much nicer when we were there. That's for sure. So that must
Yeah,
have been awesome to show
it's
them.
improved a lot. So yeah, but again, thank you guys so much for the time. I
Thank you.
hope in some way I helped, but I'm just honored to be a part of it, and I'm happy to come back anytime.
Awesome. Thank you, Casey.
Thanks,
I don't know if
Casey.
you see
Yeah.
you can see the little red phones how you exit. But again, thank you for your time. We're going to pick games without Casey, so she doesn't have to
Yes.
get into spreads and gambling with us.
I'll see you guys
Thanks,
soon.
Casey.
Thank you guys. Good night. Bye.
Appreciate it.
So for the rest of the conference, real quick, let's run down this, boys. Things are crazy, so let's be careful on who we're picking now. Illinois State is at Indiana State, 1 p.m. Illinois State is a -8.5 favorite. I'm going Illinois State because they really have to win this game.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that we had an Illinois person on the pod tonight, so let's kind of lean that way with the Redbirds.
Man, do they have an emotional letdown? Does Indiana State come home? Did they just, they're at home, all bringing all that excitement? Give me Indiana State.
Oh, the Sledge. Let's go. Murray State at the Unidome, Northern Iowa. Northern Iowa is a -16.5 favorite. Guys, I'm going Murray State. That's a lot of points for a not very good Northern Iowa team.
I'll take UNI. Win and cover.
Yeah, Sal, what are you talking about? A not very good UNI team. This is not a very good Murray State team either. So it's like, this is like weird.
They covered last week.
I'll take Murray State with the points, but Northern Iowa will get the win.
What are you talking about, Sal? Yeah, I'll go Murray State. North Dakota State is at North Dakota, in-state rivals. This is a huge game as the two top teams in the conference square off at 2 p.m. North Dakota State -8.5. Wow, guys. I'm going North Dakota, and I'm not saying they will or won't win, but this is going to be a close game.
I think after barely beating us by one possession, I think North Dakota State is going to not necessarily feel embarrassed, but I think that they're going to have a great week of practice, and I think they're going to come out and win by multiple scores. So give me the Bison to win and cover.
Dude, this is a game. Like I wish I wasn't.
I don't think it's going to be a game.
Dude, I
It will
think
be.
man, it's rivalry. It's in-state rivalry. Wow, man, I really want to take the Hawks. I really do, but I'm going to take the Bison.
Bison.
The slide with the
You're
Bison.
getting less than a 10.5 point spread with the Bison. Give me that. Give me that all day.
Southern Illinois at Youngstown State, as we talked to in length. How about Southern Illinois Salukis are favored by just 1.5, though, 2 p.m. from the Ice Castle. If you guys really want to hear some talent, tune in on ESPN Plus so you could hear the Sludge announce the game nationally. We all picked, well, I say we all, everyone in the chat, including Casey, Kurt, and myself, we all went the Penguins. Cheryl cannot make an announcement, but I will make a pick for him. South Dakota State is at South Dakota, another in-state rival, 4 p.m. South Dakota State minus 7.5. Guys, I don't know what to think about this South Dakota team. Like, I thought they were, I mean, I've always thought they were bad, but they obviously surprised me. Maybe they're starting to get their stuff together. I'm going with South Dakota. I think they're going to beat the Jackrabbits.
Yeah, I think Searle hit it earlier. It's South Dakota State's quarterback play. You don't know what you're going to get from the Jackrabbits right now, and I think South Dakota has found something. So I don't think South Dakota will win, but give me those points.
Iron Man.
Yeah, this is bizarre because like we're not digging into South Dakota State's injury report. South Dakota just beat like a really good North Dakota team, or they're riding high. How do they string 2 weeks together? I will take the Yotes with the points. I don't know. It's a coin flip on who's going to win, but I'll take the Yotes with the points.
And then lastly, just in FBS game, I am going to take a page out of Cyril's playbook. I'm going Indiana to win and cover over Penn State. They are a 15.5 favorite, and they'll probably win by 45. What do you guys got?
I have the Oregon Ducks at Jimmy Kinnick Stadium against Iowa. I know I'm favored here and biased a little bit since my neighbor, who I hang out with all the time, is a Hawkeye. But Iowa, the last few games, which their narrative has been they can't score. They've scored 47 points, 38 points. They lost to Indiana, who some think should have been number one in the CFP rankings. They lost to Indiana by 5. Iowa had 37 points, 25 points, 41 points. Oregon runs the ball really well, but Iowa's only giving up 2 yards per carry, and they're the least penalized team. They're getting 6.5 against Oregon at home. Give me the Hawks.
Was it 6.5 Oregon?
6.5.
Wow.
Oregon favored at Jimmy Kinnick Stadium.
And you're going with Iowa. All right.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, I literally text you. I had Indiana over Penn State. I got two picks this week. We talk a lot in this thread. I can't find my picks.
We talk about nothing.
Dude, ain't that? Well, we get on here and talk about nothing. Okay, so first of all, the spread versus Indiana and Penn
good
State
publicity.
It's down to 14.5. You have 15.5. Regardless, I have Missouri State plus 7.5 versus Liberty as one of my picks. Let me just scroll through here and pick something else that looks good.
You want to take the Bears?
No, I don't want. No,
I
the
don't want that.
Bears. Oh, I thought you were
Missouri
talking about
State.
the Chicago Bears. Yeah, I'm going to take Missouri State
I thought
plus
so.
points.
Okay. Yeah.
Plus 7.
Dude, Chicago's like 4 hours away.
Dude, it is definitely longer than 4 hours. Dude, this is kind of like a poop weekend of football.
I may parlay this. These picks you guys are saying. Just recapping last week, Kurt picked Florida, who did cover. Cyril picked Indiana, who did cover, and I picked Duke, who hit the money line. So we were all spot on.
Okay, all right, I got one. Since I can't pick the Southern Ill game, I'll take Washington minus 10.5 at Wisconsin.
Oh, that's easy money.
Dude, Washington's
So,
good. They have a loss
No,
to
Wisconsin's
Ohio
poop.
State. Who did they have a
Wisconsin's
loss
poop.
to Ohio State and
Yeah.
Michigan?
and
And I don't want to talk coaching carousel, but their head coach is a Florida Gator alumni, and he goes to Gainesville every summer with his Gator friends to golf. And I believe that
Floridian?
coaching job is open. So just throwing that out there. Any other last words? Oh, real quick to close it, guys. Kurt, first from you, any Instagram comments, questions, and any sneak peek at our next guest coming up, I believe, next week.
Yeah, next week we have I believe he's a Bison alum, and he is basically FCS playoff and football know-it-all, Sam Herder, right? I mean, he's a guy who follows the FCS from the offseason to preseason to during season and postseason. So Sam Herder is a guy who is going to be great for bracketology. He's going to be great to have him next week. I believe he's out in, maybe if he's out in North Dakota. Like I said, I think he was a Bison guy from what I heard. While we were all there, he was graduating from North Dakota State, but he has clearly followed the FCS football championship subdivision more than anybody else. He works for Hero Sports, and he's agreed to come on and meet us next week. So we're going to have another special guest next week in season.
He's like Kurt said, he's the best. Herosports.com. He has a lot of great FCS articles. He has a great FCS national podcast. He'll tell you all about it when he's on next week. Cyril, I don't know if you have anything else to share from the YouTube live comments or questions before we shut things down.
No, it's pretty tame chat tonight. We kind of covered most of it with Casey.
All right. Any last words? You guys ready to lock it up?
Let's lock it up. It's late.
All right, let's lock it up. Yeah, we went we went a little bit over. We'll go over playoff predictions. Will be a lot more fun to go over if we win this game, because if we lose, we may be able to forget playoffs for a long time. Anyway, again, this is the Youngstown Penguin Football Podcast. As your Youngstown State Penguins host, Southern Illinois Salukis and Kyle Stroll, the Sludge, will be announcing the game on ESPN Plus, 2 p.m. live from the Ice Castle in Youngstown, Ohio. We are on Instagram, Whitetown Penguin Podcast. We'll be back on our normal time and day, which is Wednesday next week, to recap the Southern Ill game. Get you ready for next week, and we will be on YouTube Live at 8 p.m. But as always, I'm Sal Guerrero. That's Kyle Stroh. That's Kurt Hess. And that was our guest, Casey, who was with us tonight. Good night. And as always, go Penguins.